we got busy and have added over 650 customer-facing staff. But even with that, we understand that people still are not able to get through to the phones. On a typical phone day, on a busy Monday, we take probably 7,000 calls. Now we're getting over 150,000 calls a day. And so we can only, even with adding the additional staff, answer just a fraction of the number of those. And so what we've been doing is after the initial claims have come in and the claims have started to slow down, and about 95% of those are filed online. And so we focused on the two areas where that people are still struggling with. And the one area is that even though we've paid over $4 billion in benefits over the last 6 weeks to over 1 million people, there's still a segment of the of the people that have applied that haven't gotten their benefits yet. And that's because of federal requirements. We have to review certain cases for eligibility. And so cases are being held to review their, if there's an issue about eligibility. And so we've been trying to remove as much as possible the red tape that, was put in place from the previous administration. The governor has issued a number of executive orders to ease some of the eligibility requirements so that we don't have to review those cases. But even with that, we're still left with a significant number of people whose cases need to be reviewed. And that's typically the people that are trying to call the system. And so the good thing is with the online system, we can review those cases remotely. So all of our staff is working from home, and we're doing those in reverse chronological order. So the people who have been waiting for benefits the longest are getting their cases reviewed first. The other group of people that we're really targeting right now are people that actually are having some technical issue getting into the system. Their password has been locked out. They're having login issues. From a sort of capacity standpoint, we had a few glitches at the very beginning, but over the past weeks, we've expanded capacity of our server. The system itself is handling the capacity well. There's just some people that have gotten locked out of the system with login issues, and we need to handle those individually. And so what we're doing for those people is we've got a special team that's dedicated just to those lockout issues. And when somebody goes to the website and gets a message that they're locked out, they're presented with a link they can click on, and a little form pops up that they fill out. They put their name, their email address, their contact information, and a brief description of what the reason is that they're locked out. And then that goes into a database that we have people working through. It's called an issue tracker. And we have 250 staff that are just dedicated to helping people with their login issues. We're asking people, because we've been getting so many calls, what we want to try to save those phone calls for are the people that don't have internet access, so they can't go on and file online, or people that are locked out of the system for one reason or another. But if you need to communicate with us for some other reason, then we're asking you to use your online web notice portal in order to send us a message, and we'll get back to that.
A person asked, if I have more than one job and completely lose one, am I eligible for unemployment? The one job I lost is from my own personal LLC, where I'm the sole employee. The job that I kept is for another company. Then my second job cut back my hours to half time. How do I apply for unemployment, or am I not eligible?
So you should be eligible for, there's two types of unemployment right now. There's the regular state unemployment benefits, and that's based on the wages that you've had in the past year. And so it looks at, whether or not you were a W-2 employee, whether or not you were considered to be an employee of that company. And so we use that to establish your monetary eligibility for state benefits. The federal government, through the CARES Act, passed a new program so that people that are self-employed, 1099, had low wages, so they couldn't establish a normal state claim. As long as they're off work for a COVID-related reason, then they're going to be eligible for unemployment. So that was a kind of a long explanation to say you're going to be eligible for one or the other, and you just go online, you put in your social security number in our application system. It'll do a quick background check to see whether or not there's enough wages to qualify you for a state claim. If there is, it'll give you the application for a state claim. If there's not enough there, then it'll push you over to that federal claim, which we call PUA, and you'll be eligible for that.
When I report income for a week, do I report based on money I received that week or on money that I will receive for working that week? My employer pays every 2 weeks, not every week. How can I get through to somebody at the unemployment office to answer questions about my case?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're trying to reserve the phones, and so I just want to say, we're sorry about that. Typically we can handle everybody that calls, and we've been down to a 5-minute wait time, if you can imagine. And so, but as far as the questions go, we've got some online resources for Q&As, but I can answer that question for you right now. So the way that we look at the money that you have in any given week is when you earn it. So it's not when you're paid it. So if you aren't paid on a frequent enough basis to know what exactly you earned, you're going to have to keep track of your earnings, keep track of the hours that you earn and what your rate of pay is. So for example, if you make $10 an hour and you work 40 hours in that week, then it's going to be $400 of gross earnings, whether or not you were paid for that week or not. And the way that reporting works on our system is that you report every 2 weeks for the previous 2 weeks. So you don't have to go in every week and report. It's just every 2 weeks for the previous 2 weeks. But even sometimes then, pay stubs don't arrive, pay doesn't happen. And so you're just going to have to keep track of the earnings that you have. And as long as you don't earn more than 1.5 times your weekly benefit amount, so you're going to be eligible for some unemployment benefits, plus the extra $600 from the federal government. How
do we help our young adults that feel like they won't be able to go back to work? Do you have any words of wisdom?
No, absolutely. So we're out there promoting this program called WorkShare, which allows employers to bring people back to work on maybe a little bit of a reduced hour basis, and also allow them to continue to qualify for unemployment benefits. And so we're encouraging employers to do that. We're also encouraging employers, if you're currently receiving unemployment and you're calling somebody back to work, you got to make sure that you're calling them back to a safe work environment that's in compliance with the federal and state guidelines that are being put out about maintaining the work environment and making sure that it's safe. If they don't provide a safe work environment, then you're gonna, and you refuse that, you're not going to be disqualified from unemployment. So those are some of the things that hopefully will make it easier for people to get back to work.
I was approved, but when I certified, it showed $0. Why might that have happened?
So that's that group of people that I talked about that we're kind of focusing on. There's a number of people out there who there was an eligibility issue that was raised when they certified, and so maybe they had some earnings that they reported, and so those are the cases that we need to review, and we're reviewing those in reverse chronological order, getting the oldest ones first. We're going to get to it, and if you're eligible, you're going to get paid. Even if it needs to get backdated.
It says my claim number and closed on the left side of my case closed / denied. I've sent messages through the portal, but I have not heard back. So it sounds like for this one, they're saying that the case was closed or denied, and they're trying to get information about it, but haven't heard back. Do you have any direction for this person? Oh,
Right,
wait, and then it says, in talking with a representative, they said my case was flagged for fraud, but it is totally inaccurate. I cannot seem to work this out. Can't get anybody on the phone to resolve this. What can I do?
Gotcha. So that gives me a lot more insight into that.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
We have a lot of people whose cases were flagged for fraud, that they had nothing to do with fraud. So just because your case is, flagged for fraud, what happened is, during a period of time in 2010, 2011, 2012, and beyond, we had a huge wave of imposter claims filed. Professional criminals who would go in and file claims under, they'd get social security numbers and other information that they buy off the black market, and then they were just filing claims on behalf of people. So in order to address that, we had to put sort of protections in place to make sure that people didn't come in and refile that. And so your case has been flagged as a potential case that would have been imposter. And we have a special group of people that's just working through those and making sure that they're not imposter claims. And so just keep an eye on your account. Send a web message to us just to make sure that that we know that it's there. And then there's a group of people, like I said, that are working through those in reverse chronological order, and we're gonna get to that. And assuming that this wasn't a fraudulent claim, you're gonna get paid.
Okay, so we have two more. If my job reopens, maybe three more. If my job reopens, but I'm too nervous to go back to work because I don't want to bring COVID back to my family who I live with, can I still qualify for unemployment?
Right. So, like I said, people are looking at that right now, and people are nervous about, going back to work. You have to ensure, and the employer has to ensure that it's a safe environment and that they're in compliance with MIOSHA, CDC, the governor's guidelines on maintaining a safe environment at work. So if they don't, and you refuse to go back to work, you shouldn't be disqualified from unemployment. So I think you want to make sure that you're up to, that you're up to speed on what the requirements are for a safe workplace. If it comes to your attention that you don't think that they're providing a safe workplace, then you need to contact MIOSHA. Sorry, I don't have the contact information for them, but it is on our website, michigan.gov/UIA, and file up a complaint with MIOSHA if you think it's not safe.
So we'll make sure that we get those numbers to folks and some of that information as well. So that's very helpful. If I have multiple jobs, is the number to qualify to receive unemployment payment 1.5 my combined total income or of any one job?
It's your combined income. So there's so many people in this economy that unfortunately have to have multiple jobs. We look at your total income and say if that's more than 1.5 times, then you're not going to be eligible for that week. If it drops below, you could be eligible in subsequent weeks. Great.
If my employer isn't letting us safely social distance or wear masks, can I quit and qualify for unemployment? Sounds similar to what was just asked, that they need to be following the...
Absolutely. It's the same standard.
Guidelines.
Yep. It's the same standard. So you just want to make sure, you want to try to give your employer an opportunity to correct it. And I think then you also want to, file a complaint with MIOSHA if you think that they're not in compliance.
Can people who are self-employed but do not have a registered company apply now? What do they have to present?
So right now it's just your social security number and that you say that it'll ask you a series of questions and you'll just have to certify whether or not you're without your income or without work because of a COVID related reason. So, for example, a photography shop had to shut down because nobody could come in because of the stay-at-home recommendations from the governor. So you would be eligible for this pandemic unemployment assistance, this federal program. And then if you have your tax information, you're self-employed, your tax information, either 1099s or a lot of self-employed people have a Schedule C that they fill out for their taxes. You can apply, you'll get approved, you'll get the minimum amount plus the additional $600. And then if you submit your additional information, it could potentially increase your benefit amount up to as high as $362 plus the $600.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. You are a wealth of information. Thank you so much.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.